Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. I am Jim Coppinger, the technical principal here at ZenTek Consultants, and I welcome you guys to another episode of our From Chaos to Control. ZenTek Consultants simplifies construction management. Appreciate you guys taking the time to watch. And today, what I really want to get into is the concept of planning for health, safety, and compliance. This is an ongoing issue that I see just about every day with our clients. Folks who run into all kinds of legal actions and legal problems and concerns and delays on their site, primarily focused around the fact that early on in their process, they did not plan for and implement a workflow to handle all of the different types of HSC, right, health, safety, compliance issues that are going to arise on your job. There's just no way around it. Bad things happen on construction sites. That's the reality of it. And what we really have to do is look at it in advance and plan out how we're going to handle all of the necessary documentation, all of the necessary forms and reporting and training, right? Things like, our incidents, right? Incident reporting, inspections and tracking, things there, right? What certifications do the workers on site have or do they need, and are they current, right? We've got to be able to document known site hazards and safety conditions. We got to handle worker orientation, worker training, right? We've got to do our toolbox talks. There's a million things that have to happen here. And it's one of the most document heavy portions of a construction project. And yet I see day after day after day, people don't plan for this. They kind of have this view that, we know what we have to do. We'll get people to fill out some forms and I know the basics and I'll have them sign off on a logbook. And that's not good enough. Particularly, I still see a lot of people who are using paper. They've actually got like physical logbooks and they've got, physical forms that they print out and have people sign off on when, or fill out when there's an incident or a problem, right? Bringing paper to a construction job, that's just a disaster waiting to happen. Paper and ink don't play well with mud and rain and snow and construction folks. We tend to destroy those things. So they get lost and they get put in files and they get put on desks and then people take them to wipe the mud off their shoes and everything happens to the paper forms. So a lot of companies have realized that and they've made steps in the right direction, which is they're trying to make use of things like predefined PDF forms and emailing the forms to the people who need to sign off of them or the folks who have to be part of the resolution and the problem and the tracking functionality that we need. And they log these things into Excel. And that is a positive step in the right direction that I've seen over the last 10 years or so, that people are really, most contractors and GCs are making a concerted effort in that respect, which I applaud. It's a good thing. But the problem with that, right, using PDFs and emails and logging things into Excel is it is still really easy for those things to be lost. Right? They scrolled off the bottom of your email list or somebody forgot to reply and a month went by on a problem that needed to be addressed within 2 days, right? Things get forgotten, things get delayed because they're just kind of put out into the electronic ether. And we don't know for certain whether or not the right people have seen them. If they've responded to it, we get involved in other problems, and the first problem gets completely misplaced. And that's why what I really, really try to stress for everybody, listen to this video is you really need to look at digital health, safety, and compliance tools, right? Tools that are going to let you, number one, input problems and respond to problems and assign problems and certificates and other, forms and structures and data flows that you can put it from anywhere, anytime, off of any device, whether it's, a guy who's 30 stories up doing it on his, mobile, if it's, a guy in the construction trailer on an iPad, whatever. Things that are going to let you do that and enter the data and control the information flow from anywhere at any time. Right? And a really important part of that is automation. It's, like we said, when you're dealing with emails and Excel and so on, you're going to just lose track of what needs to happen and who needs to do it. You really need to have a tool that is going to automate notifications, right? The people who need to respond are going to be told, hey, these problems happened, these forms were filled out, you need to respond to them or do something to address or correct that problem. And they also have to have automated reminders. people get busy. People are, all right, yeah, I'll get to that later today. But then, their kids' school called and they had to leave early and they forgot about it. Something that's going to keep annoying them. It's going to keep popping up on their phone saying, hey, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to fill out that form, you got to submit this to the engineer, you got to, call, the hospital, whatever it is, right? Something that's going to continuously monitor their replies and let you and them both know when they are falling behind, whether it's an employee or whoever else it may be, sub, whatever you got on the site, right? That's really vitally important in any digital tool for this. And the last thing that you guys really want to look at in any of these tools is you need something that's, we'll call it reportable, something that can accumulate quickly in seconds all of the disparate events on a particular job or across multiple jobs, across companies, across a particular super, right? The stuff that is going to get subpoenaed in case of legal actions or other problems, right? You need a little bit of that CYA, folks. You've got to have some way to say, look, here's everything that happened. Here's everything that we did. Here's everybody who signed off on it. And it's fully documented with dates and times and signatures and approvals so that you're not winding up losing, millions and millions of dollars in lawsuits. So that's the stuff that you need to plan for and set, right, in terms of planning for the health, safety, and compliance. And look, as always, right, this is kind of our first section. We do these KS to Control videos in kind of two pieces. One, which is the first one you guys are watching now, which is kind of a how-to, right? What are we talking about? What's the problem? What are the concerns we need to address? And then if you guys look down in the links below, you'll see there is a link to another video where we're going to get into a practical process, right? The application of how do you actually do this with a piece of software. And in this case, I'm going to use SiteDocs, which is just an absolutely fantastic tool to really take us through the process of beginning to put all of our HSC forms into a digital format that, we can just track notifications, reminders, right? They're reportable, all of the good stuff we talked about here. So click on that link, go watch the second video and see how you can do this in a practical workplace. All right, catch you next time, guys.